All right. Good day, Grand Rising, and welcome to everyone. You are tuned into the Peak Wellness Hour, and we are always excited to be here with you. Queen Edith was not here last week, she was away, and we were not going to come on live. So this is a last minute thing because we've had life going, I've had life going, but we're grateful to be here with you on this last Saturday of the month. We don't have everybody that you've seen here with us. But we're gonna get down to the meat of this conversation when it comes to a time of reflection. So you all make sure you grab your pen and paper, stay tuned, take some notes, engage in the conversation, and we're going to get started. All right. Again, welcome. Tune into the Peak Wellness Hour. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please and thank you. We are so excited to continue to grow with you all and just evolve. Like I said, I had an emergency. I'm learning you don't always want to put things out there. Everything's not everybody's business, right? Because when we speak things out into the universe, just different things go on behind the scenes on a different level. So I will say that I did have an emergency. We were not going to come on live. And Queen Edith called me this morning just to check in. We got to chatting and talking and just got some pouring into for me. And we decided to jump on. So again, we're so grateful that we decided to be here. I feel like this is going to be a very positive conversation, as they all are. So make sure you engage in the comment section again. Please share. We are speaking on a time of reflection because it can cover everything. I think we talked a lot about, we focus a lot on women this month. And like I told Queen Edith, I talked to King Shawn about it. I was really excited to focus on June for the men. Okay. And I actually met Shawn A a year ago around this time. And this was something that we wanted to do as far as focusing on men and just empowering men. So I've enjoyed empowering women for the month of May, but I've been looking forward to June. So we're going to take this month out just reflecting on life, not just womanhood, not just men. We're just going to reflect and just express some gratitude. I know life is lifing all the time. And sometimes it's not fun when people say, well, it could always be worse. It could be, but it could also be better. So we're going to reflect on how to get there. We are going to be grateful for our circumstances, be grateful for trials and tribulations and triumphs. Okay. And we're going to do this thing together. So without further ado, Queen, professor, counselor, entrepreneur, business owner, woman, Queen Edith. How you doing? You were missed last week.
I am so sorry I wasn't here last week, but I am also glad I was where I was because I needed where I was. So I'm excited to be back, and I'm so grateful for Queen G. life happened, and there was no way this show would have even come on if she wasn't here. I'm telling you, it's hinging on her. A lot hinges on her. I hate to put more on her plate, but it is the truth. So I'm so grateful we're able to make it and make it to you this morning. Like she said, last month we focused on women, right? We focused on women. I wrote something that we focused on uplifting and empowering women, aligning with your passion for engaging meaningful content. We also explored Women's Weaknesses Week, right? We tried to put the two together because you find more women in nursing than men, but there are some powerful, great working men in nursing as well. But our emphasis was on women, of course. We talked about the hats that women wear. I remember mentioning Florence Nightingale when we were talking about nursing, and said every person who strives or wants to be a nurse should at least know a little bit about that woman, Florence Nightingale, and the role she played during the war. We talked about hats, the hats women wear. We went all over the place, but basically we wanted to focus on, what do you call it, on the different careers and different fields that we are in now, that years and years ago our mothers could not go. It took very few women, but now it looks like those few women have opened the floodgates for you and I, and we're doing so much in the field. There was a time when our mothers stayed at home. They were stay-at-home moms. My mother's mother never went outside the home. All the work she did was in the home. She cooked and she sold food. My great grandmother on my maternal side did the same thing. My paternal grandmother also did not work outside the home. My mother did until she started having children. Excuse me. So we've come a long way, and now most women are out on the field working. I don't know whether I should be sorry or be happy to say that. Well, I'm glad for the changes, but we're also not losing the fact that we play a major role in raising our children, which is very important. So if you stay at home mom, it is a hat you're wearing, and please don't downplay it, because you're raising the next generation, and generations after them will live on the lessons you've taught them. And if you are in the field and have children, I know you're making time to ensure that you're taking care of your children as well. So nobody's work is less than the other. We are all doing things that we have been called to do as women. And those are some of the things we talked about. But I guess we'll revisit a few things. But this morning, Queen and I were talking. We've been talking for about an hour before we got here, right? So, and I was talking about intentionality. That as women, since we are rounding up the week, we can never finish talking about women in our marriages, in our singlehood, in our careers, in our friendships, right? In our friendships and relationships. We can't stop talking. We can't ignore the need to be intentional about taking care of ourselves and taking a moment for ourselves and putting our feet up. How about that, Queen?
I agree. I wanted to ask you, what do you think? I don't know. There's, the women's rights, and there's a whole big thing with, and shout out to my Queen Mother, aka Rhonda Thomas. Thank you for being in the
Hello, Queen Mother.
With women's rights, I think that it was so important, the inequality thing. But I wonder, and again, not to get off topic, but like with women's rights, it was around the time of civil rights, okay? And so civil rights began, and then there was a whole issue with women wanting their equality. Specific women, okay? So I'm saying that to say, I wonder what it would look like if we were seen as valued and maybe not equal, but equally valued And we had the mindset and the intentionality to have stayed home and understood being able to have the privilege of raising our children in the home, being present, not having to step outside the home when it comes to work. Even as a male role, I know there are male single fathers. I know there are stay-at-home dads. But I wonder what it would look like if we thought it differently and stuck with the opportunity to just kind of child rear a little differently. I know I've always worked with my children, and I think a lot of us, it's the expectation. You get 6 weeks off. That is not a lot of time. That is no time after 9 months of the process. But then you're back to work, and it's expected that you get a daycare for your children. A lot of us don't have nannies. Your children go to daycare. Then they go off to school, and it's just this pattern of working and coming home and doing domestic duties. And I wonder how much time would be spent if things were a little different there. I don't know. What do you think about that? Does that make sense?
You've raised a few topics, a few things here. The first question was women's rights as it relates to equality.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny.
And I mean, with that fight, because it was more so getting out of the house. You know what I'm saying? I think with that's why I kind of tied that in with around the civil rights movement time, okay. Because it was about wanting to get back into the work field, wanting to get into the work field, it wasn't, I think the equality was the work, the workforce. The equality wasn't the value and seeing the equal value. I think you see what I'm saying? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just so everybody understands that we're talking about women's rights.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I thank you for the clarification. The women's right thing regarding we also want to go out into the field to work. We can do what the men can do. We have the professionalism. We have the brains. If you're raising your children, if you're raising you to become all that you're being in the field, then we have the sense to be what you are on the field as well, because we have done a lot to put you. Hello, Keishon. It's been a while. We have done a lot of work to give you the sense to put you where you are. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. If women were being held back, say stay at home, then it makes a lot of sense. I can appreciate that. But having said that, we need to also understand the value of raising our children well. When you look at children raised in those times and those children raised in these days, you see a vast difference. Today, parents are trying to make up by wanting to be their children's friends because they are not there. So they're finding ways to compensate. Okay, because I have not been there, so I'm going to buy you the gadget. So even when I'm not there, you will not feel my presence. But there's something in counseling or psychology called attachment theory. Okay, and because we don't understand the value of our presence in the lives of our children as much as we can, we value being out there and look, and many, even sometimes our husbands minimize us just because we're stay-at-home moms until they have to do it themselves. So I get it and I understand it and I appreciate it. And sometimes we want both opportunities. If I can go out to work, then I want to be able to go out to work. Then if I can't, I can respect that.
Queen, real quick, hold on, I'm trying to interrupt you. Your internet's breaking up. It's kind of choppy because you're giving good words, so I don't want anybody to miss it. It's going in and out.
Is it this? Hold on, let me do
Y'all know she
something
has
here
good
for me.
words, so we can't miss a single word she's saying.
Settings. Let me
Okay.
do this.
Y'all
Let
know
me
she comes
take
with the
off.
good words. So yeah, we want to hear everything she's saying.
I love you.
That's a
Okay,
cute picture.
is this
I
better?
love you.
Is this better?
It is, yes, Queen.
Okay, I
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
know where you missed where you what you missed, but what I'm saying is that there's value in being home and taking care of our children. There's so much value. I think one of the things that gave rise to this women's rights is just because we want to know we have the right. We
Mm-hmm.
want to know that we can if we want to. And
Mm-hmm.
also some people, including the husbands whose children we are raising, our own husband, minimize us just because we are home. They don't value
Mm-hmm.
what it is, or they didn't value. So I can understand that, and it makes sense. If I have the education, I have everything, why not? Why not?
Mm-hmm.
But now more than ever, besides the need for us to fulfill our own destinies, there is also an economic need. Life
Mm-hmm.
is more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Life is more expensive. So it makes sense to me. There's value in all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing with equality, we are equal to men. I don't know why we want to be equal to men. You see, the Bible tells us something, that all men are equal. There is no Jew, there is no male, there is no female, there is no whatever, no slave, no master. We were all created equal. And really, we were. When you read the creation story critically, you find out that we were created equal. The reality is that my body, with all the additions that God has put on our body as females that the men don't have, is for a role.
Mm-hmm.
It's for a role. It's the role we play. You realize that a lot of the things God added to our body are things to nurture the next generation, the womb, the boobs, the extra bats. So will be the attraction will be there. And also to carry our babies on our backs if we do, to give us that extra support, the softness of our body compared to the hardness of the man's body. They all speak to the role we play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we understand who we are as women.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are crying for equality, because Queen G and I have the same education, the same qualifications, the same experience, the same age, working in the same industry, working the same positions,
Mm-hmm.
and I am male and she is female. Why would she be paid more than me when everything is the same, all things being equal? That is a right I would fight for. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
equal to that man. It makes no sense to me. I don't want to get all passionate to go into that conversation because I like to do that on my church and my ministerial platform. But what I'm saying is that women
Mm-hmm.
as women, take a good look at yourself. I am happy that I can do the things my husband does. I really am happy. Because you know what? I don't want to get up and climb ladders and fix light bulbs and fix cars. I really don't want to. I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I would need a man. And we say this that I don't need a man. Please need your man. Need him. You need him.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put this pride in that. We need them. Gosh, we need them. Come on. We need them. Okay. They don't also, I mean, by the talking in the traditional sense, they can't
Hmm.
carry a pregnancy. They can't. They can't probably cook and clean like you do. There are exceptions. I'm not saying men don't. I'm saying there are exceptions. Some men do it. Some men are chefs. They do hair. But I'm making the general statement that generally the things that women do, men really don't want to do it. And the things that men do, I know as Edith,
Hmm.
I really don't want to do it. I wish I had somebody who would take my car to the dealership or to the wherever, wash it, clean it. Why not? The relationship, the role is to complement, okay? It's not to fight. So let's stop fighting
Hmm.
ignorantly. Because that's what the devil came into the garden to do. Has God told you you can't do that? But you can. That thing, and if you eat it, you become like God. You are already created in God's image. So let's flash out these lies and look into the mirror and be proud of being a woman. Because there are things that you were made, created, formed to do and to be that a man cannot do and be. Period. Let's enjoy our roles. My opinion. I don't
I
know if I
agree.
answered your question. I
You
don't know.
did. That darn internet over there is still acting funny.
My
I don't know what's
internet,
going on over there. It's
it's
lagging.
funny.
I'm trying to look on
Let
my
me see. Okay, I'm gonna turn this Wi-Fi. Works. What happened to my
Okay.
video? I turned the Wi-Fi off. Maybe the Wi-Fi. So let's do it again. Apparently, I'm not
Mm-mm.
sharing this video.
You know what? Do this. Go out and come back in,
Okay.
and we're gonna
Okay.
wait for you.
Maybe.
Okay. All right. Yes, 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 yes. So hopefully everybody's enjoying this conversation so far. Like I said, we're just reflecting today, just having general conversation about what's going on in life. Um, I don't want to go too far and say too much without the queen. Here she is. Let's see.
Is this
Okay.
any better?
I think so. Maybe.
Maybe. I turned off
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. I'm using the regular, phone internet. So let's see how that works.
Okay. Okay. Cool beans. Darn technology, you all.
I know,
Yeah, I
right?
agree with you though. There are things, and I have my king will tell you I have a habit of doing that. I will jump into a role that is unnecessary in a heartbeat. And I think for me it's not trying to, sometimes my husband says, you're trying to be like a man. No, I am the way I am. And sometimes if you all know me, you all know I'm frugal. So my husband, my king, is not the type. He is not about to get under nobody's hood and fix a car. He will pay to have it fixed appropriately. I, on the other
Yeah,
hand,
I
will
will
Google
pay and have
something.
it done.
I, I will Google something, and we are under that hood fixing something. I'm like that. It irritates him
See,
sometimes because his things is unnecessary. Like, just do it the right way. Just all these things, and I'm having to learn. But I don't feel like it's me trying to be in a male role, but sometimes we do that, and we don't let our men be men, and it's very unfortunate a lot of times. And then we wonder why we have men that are not masculine and
uh,
what we deem as adequate. It's because we keep
I
emasculating.
don't mean to cut you, but you know what I
Go
think?
ahead.
Queen, we
Mm-hmm.
work a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We work so much, right? So if I can put my feet up and pay somebody to do some things, if I can afford it, then I will.
Yeah.
Then I
Yeah.
will,
Yeah.
Because, yeah, then I will.
I'm working on that. I want all my ducats.
And
I'm
I
working on
will,
that.
yeah, because we work so much. And maybe because I'm also alone, I do everything. I'm cleaning. Like, it's funny how you live alone and you're
Mm-hmm.
cleaning all the time, right? I'm cleaning,
Yeah.
I'm cooking. So there's some things that I don't do anymore. Like
Mm-hmm.
go grocery shopping. If I take $100 and go grocery shopping, I will cook food, but I have to eat that food alone for a long time. So I probably take $6 and get myself something basic and eat it and be done with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes
So
sense.
women, what would you rather do? Quick question. If you're listening to us, you can afford to have your house cleaned for you. Maybe once a month. Bring that person to do the what they call the deep cleaning, right? And then the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the month you maintain it. Or you will do it all the time yourself. Would you pay someone to do something so you give yourself a little break? Or you believe that you have to do everything to save money? Please share your comments. We'd like to know.
It's a good question. That's a good question. I was talking to somebody the other day, one of my patients, and his wife. We were talking about just kind of because she knows I can be a little frugal, and she was talking about how just go and shop. And she asked me, like, "Do you like to go shopping?" I mean, I don't mind going shopping. I'm not just gonna go to the mall and just splurge out. If there's something I want, But she was talking about, especially as we get older, um, just being able to treat yourself and her having to realize that in latter years that after you've taken care of and nurtured and done whatever you've done, it's okay and you deserve uh to treat yourself sometimes. And I think a lot of times we most of us overlook that, and we waste a whole lot of time on other people that could have been invested in ourselves. I think a lot of times we're so invested in other people that by the time it's time for us, there's no more time, and it's just another tomorrow, the next day or whatever. So we have to get out of that. We definitely have to, even men, but especially women, because we are horrible at it. We
Especially
are we
us.
are nurturers, we are caregivers, we are, providers in a different sense than men, but I don't think we deserve that time. I don't
No,
know.
it's not because we don't think we deserve it. I feel like it's because, and I'm thinking about my mother. She can do it best because nobody can do it the way I do it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I
Mm-hmm.
pay somebody, they'll do it, and I still have to come back and fix it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So nobody can do it the way we do it. So you know what? I'd rather just get it done. You understand? So that's the way I see it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's us. We feel like okay. I
Mm-hmm.
remember. Okay, so the American system is different. We go to the market. And when it's an open market, like you go to the
Mm-hmm.
farmer's market, that's what our market is. At least when I was growing up. Now there are all these fancy things called grocery stores, even in Ghana. But we go to the market, what you call the farmer's market. And I want tomatoes, and you have four big ones or medium for, let's just say 20 CDs or $20. I'll negotiate. Oh, $20. This is too little. Can I pay 15? And we do this negotiation back and forth, right? My father
Mm-hmm.
could never get it right in my mother's eyes. Right? He will go sometimes in the evening, he will shop, he'll stop at the market. And he'll buy stuff because when my mother is going on weekends, she goes with him. They know him. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes he'll go and say, "Oh, when I was leaving the house, I know we didn't have the wedding because my father was very hands-on. He'll go
Mm-hmm.
and shop for my mom and bring things she needs." Then she says, "So how much did you buy this for?" She said, "Oh, maybe $10." Oh my God, this for $10? They cheated. He never got it right. Right? He never got it right. And that's what we do as women. Right? She didn't even consider the thoughts that, oh, it was okay, yeah, it's normal. But this is too
Mm-hmm.
expensive. You let the woman talk to you, you let the woman put your hands around your head, and you paid more than you should. Ma, come on. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But he
Mm-hmm.
saved there a trip. He saved there's the money that, because he would say, okay, I gave you this pocket money for this. Bring me my money.
Mm-hmm.
He saved there a lot of stress and everything. And yet, all she could see was, no, they robbed you daylight. They robbed you. Like, they no, no. If I bought this, I would have paid $2 for it instead of $10. That's what
Mm-hmm.
we do. So, ladies,
Yeah.
let the men help you. Just be thankful and stop comparing what they did to what you did, what you would have done. Okay? If your man
Mm-hmm.
wants someone to fix the car, Queen G, put your feet up and let him pay for it. So you will get, so he can, maybe he's trying to spend quality time with you, but you are going to get under
Mm-hmm.
the hood and he's not coming there with you. So if you were doing it together, we'll say, okay, we're spending time together. But he's not. And you defeat the whole
Mm-hmm.
purpose. Let the man
Mm-hmm.
be. And you be
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm. And you know
So
what, when you
basically,
mentioned that, like I said, I've had to grow from that. But like even with that scenario, like with the car or whatnot, so my husband's always, he's always gonna be supportive. He is the most gentle person. We are like yin and yang, okay, over here, like for real. He's so just laid back. And I'll just go off on, 10, but not just anything aggressive, just well, you don't understand it, um with the car thing, for instance. So I'm out there. He's like, "That's what you're gonna do. That's what you're gonna do." He's not gonna argue with me. He's not. He don't. He's not gonna argue. I just don't understand. It just makes more sense. We got
you're a
the money,
perfect
so
match because if
yeah.
he was like you, oh Lord.
Be War of the Roses in here. But then what I'll do, and that's what I've had to learn from this, because then what I would do is, he's gonna come out there and check on me. He doesn't know, like I said, he doesn't know about hoses and whatever I'm tinkering with down there no more than I do. But says Google or YouTube. But then he'll come out
YouTube
and I'm looking like,
University.
well, what are you doing out here? You're not gonna help me. And he's looking like, chick, and just that, we can just be so irrational. So I can be irrational sometimes. And he just looks like I'm not doing it. And then I have to sit with myself and think to myself, I have to reflect. I have to
Yep.
reflect. And that plays back when he walks away, like, okay, whatever. It plays back. And I have to say to myself, you know what? That was out of line. Wasn't aggressive, but it was unnecessary, it was out of line. It lacked compassion, a whole lot of things. And then I have to correct it. And that's where accountability comes in. It when we take the time to reflect on things, especially in our lack and our shortcomings, it gives you the opportunity to kind of see that mirror and really just reflect on how to proceed, how to correct it for the next time. It's interesting how people apologize. Grand
Hey, Queen
Rising,
Lady.
Queen Aunt Betty. It's I don't like having to apologize for the same thing. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't have done this. I know. Well, just don't do it. I think we have to be intentional, like you said, to get out of always being regretful and remorseful and really sorry. And we don't do that. We're so, especially women, we're so emotional and we react so quickly. And then we think we just bat our eyes. And babe, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. But you create this atmosphere and this environment and this energy that's very disruptive sometimes. So I
Mm.
think reflection allows for you to grow in that, and a lot of times it's hard because we don't want to be accountable. We don't want to say, what, this is the second, third time he's talked to me about me, clapping my hands, why? And I have to feel bad because you keep telling me, you keep asking me not to raise my voice, not to curse, whatever people are doing, not to throw things, whatever people are doing. How many times does somebody have to ask you to be respectful and be mindful? Nobody should really have to ask you.
And you know what? Sometimes they are just asking you to rest. And like, I can rest if I rest. By the time
Mm-hmm.
I get up, my kitchen will be a mess. You guys, da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
Mother's Day, your children are trying to cook for you, and Oh no, 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 no. All you're thinking about is the dirty kitchen you come back and clean. You know what I mean? You can teach them to clean it too, you know?
Yes.
But yeah, yeah, but I just want women, let's relax. Especially these modern day women.
Yeah.
My generation, younger generation, you know, let's learn to rest. Let's trust that our men can take care of things when they say they want to, or our children, or
Mm-hmm.
whoever our significant other is. And if they don't get
Mm-hmm.
everything right, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they learn to serve
And,
us too.
and you know what happens when you prevent them from doing that? And I'm speaking from experience. I've had to learn, like I told y'all, and we are here to learn today together. But I know when you keep hindering people from doing things, they'll stop doing them. Let me give you an example. So maybe, my king always opens the door for me. Ever since we've been together, he opens the door. So one day, after some time, it's raining or it's snowing. I'm like, no, you don't have to get the door. And the next time, no, you don't have to get the door. I can open the door myself. And all of a sudden, you look and time goes by, and he's getting on his side, and I'm getting it on mine, and he's not opening the door because you kept saying no. Let me get the groceries. No, I got the groceries. I got it. I got it. And then you wonder why he don't get up off the couch to help you get the groceries because you got 20 bags in your hand and you left him with one. And it was a toilet paper that you left him to get, you know. And then we're angry because they're not there for us. They don't help us. Every time I need something. When is that? When is that? So I don't know. We can be hard on men. We can lack
We
compassion
can
with
make
men.
them
And we
redundant. You see,
mm-hmm,
we need to learn to know when to be soft, when to allow help, and
mm-hmm,
because many women have also been in an environment where if they don't do for themselves, nobody will do for them. And
mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm,
that becomes an innate thing. But when we have someone who is willing to do it, we must also learn to let them. Like you said, if you keep saying no, 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 you make them redundant.
mm-hmm,
Now they're just sitting there. And what next? They're gonna
mm-hmm,
figure out a way to entertain themselves because they can spend time with you, they can help you. You don't need them. So what are they there for?
mm-hmm.
Really, what are they there for? We are a team. We're a team. And it's not
Yeah.
because, and we must also know that our children are also learning from them. Okay, these children are watching
Mm-hmm.
and learning. So if you are stopping him from being the dad and the example, what will your children do? If the way you're training your man to be for you, if you
Yes.
go to your daughter's house and you find out that she's doing everything, the husband is just sitting there, how will that look to you? We don't think that far, but
Mm-hmm.
we need to look at it from so
Mm-hmm.
many different angles. Okay, they are
Mm-hmm.
there to help just as much as you are there to help. Let them do
Mm-hmm.
what they can, and what they can't, you pick up and do. We are stressing. A lot of women are stressed. Okay, a lot of women are stressed. And so because you're stressed, we are irritable, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The and agitated and we are not enjoying this life. We are just enduring it. And many of us have the privilege of a spouse to help us. Please, let's stop trying to be stressed. Let's stop thinking. I will use the word King Kong, like the Superman in the Chinese karate. They can do all things. They are powerful. I can lift the water. I can carry all that water. Don't worry, I got it. I got no. What are we trying to prove? When you wake up in the morning, you look into the mirror. and you claim you're a queen, let your king help. Otherwise, you're no more becoming a queen. You're becoming the macho woman of the house. Everything about what you say is final. So your children leave you. When you're cooking and you are doing so much. And then you begin to fast. I'm doing this all by myself. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning. And your guys are all inside. You won't even when you come to the food. You go to But who you train them just the way you want them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Queen. I've got a question for you. With you being a family and marriage counselor, could you speak to situations with couples that are engaged in arguments and disagreements in front of children, and how that affects children, and how maneuver around that? You have any advice for that? And if you could explain the detriment, should you explain the detriment of children seeing discord? And it doesn't even have to be physical, just words, that's what you just like your dad, just words, in front of children, and how that affects family and whatnot. I know you just kind of spoke on that, but yeah.
Let me share something. When I first got married, my sister and I got married, I think, a few months apart. And my mother, both parents called us and said something. And I'm not even coming from the perspective of a counselor right now. She said, if you guys, you and your husbands get into a fight, don't run back to this house. Deal with it. I said, and she said, don't think your dad and I never fight. Okay. Having said that, I will say this. We were not a rich family, right? But we were a happy home. We were a family. My sister and my younger brother, the three of us had one bedroom. It was big. So my mother screened it in such a way that when our little brother was little, he will have his corner, my sister and I will have our corner. And between our room and my parents' room was a communicating door. You know what a communicating door is? So you can open our door.
Like a connecting door.
We are in the room, but there's a door that leads to my parents' room. So they can come from their room, not go out and come through there, but right within, like a suite. They could just walk into our door with a door. So that's how close we were to them, their room. We could literally almost hear anything and everything. So if there was a way they were fighting, we would hear it. But we never heard them. Why am I bringing this up? Children are in stages. At very little stages, husband and wife, be disciplined enough to find a way to talk about your differences, your disagreements. Find a way away from your children. Children, maybe even up to the age of 6, 7, 8, even 10, sometimes think that anything negative that happens to mom and dad is because of us. They take the blame.
That's so wild.
They take the blame. So if it's a happy home, the children are happy. But if mom and dad are fighting all the time, the children are blaming themselves. Because that psychologically, you can't stop them from thinking that way. They blame themselves. Why is mom and dad fighting all the time? And you find out that a lot of the time it's something regarding what dad did or what mom did about these children. Maybe their playtime, maybe their homework time, maybe one of them is too relaxed and one of them is too strict. All of that stuff, it shows out. So they know it's their fault. Even if it's not, they know it's their fault. Psychologically, everything that happens to you, they take the blame. So guess what? They are trying to tiptoe around you. Make sure they don't do anything that will cause you two to fight. Your children are not living a life
Mhm.
they are not living realistically around you. They get the psyche and it carries on further into other relationships. Okay, they tend to blame
Mhm.
themselves, so they become insecure. It's easy
Mhm.
for them to develop insecurity and what we call insecure attachment. Okay,
Mhm.
fine. If the child likes the children, some children will go more towards their mother. Maybe the dad is a gets drunk or is a little tipsy or is probably having an affair, and the argument it just escalates. So children will be forced to pick sides. If they can't pick sides, they will cry,
Mhm.
they'll become bothered, okay? But
Mhm.
16, 17, 18, 19, it's healthy for them to see you have a little misunderstanding. Not extreme, not fight, exchange words, call yourself names, but see you have a little misunderstanding because it builds them for their relationships.
Mhm.
They can expect reality that we are not the same. There'll be differences, but we saw our parents go through it and we saw them trash their differences. They didn't let it go on and on and on. They talked about it, they dealt with it, and they moved on. Okay,
Mhm.
because I remember my father would be teasing my mother and driving her crazy and making her angry, and you could see it shows. But we never saw. My father would say, "Your mom is upset with
Mhm.
me. Your mom is upset with me," and he'll say something. We all laugh. My father was a tease, so he will create laughter. Okay, maybe when they went into their bedroom privately, they knew how to talk about it, but in front of us, my father will create laughter, downplay it, and my mother will keep her
Mhm.
silent. You know, so
Mhm.
I think it's the levels and the ages of your children. It's okay for them to see, but if you guys are really fighting tooth and nail
Mhm.
with each other terribly, you need help.
Mhm.
There's a serious psychological issue going on.
Mhm.
You haven't learned to know your husband, you haven't learned to know your wife, you don't know their history, their attachment styles, you don't know much, so you don't know how to connect, you don't
Mhm.
know how to speak to her or him in a way that speaks to their core so they get you. So what's happening is that little things is causing fires in the house and you need help. If you
Mhm.
don't have the discipline to not fight that way in front of your children, call your wife names or even just be blatantly rude in front of your children, you're
Mhm.
teaching your children it's okay to talk to mommy anyway or to talk to daddy anyway, and they're going to
Mhm.
carry it into their future. So I feel like if you are getting to that point where you can't stand each other anymore, then you need to step out and get help, professional help.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I've always said, oh, well, not I've always said, but I'm a firm believer that, everyone could use some counseling and therapy, even counselors, even therapists, even, like I've said before, a good pastor has a good, spiritual leader, a good therapist has a good
They
therapist,
are required,
Yeah.
actually. You are required to have. Otherwise, what about doctors? Doctors have doctors. Everybody needs somebody. Like a
Mm-hmm.
counselor must have. At school, we are required to go through therapy to have a counselor. Someone.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes just change of careers
Mm-hmm.
can do a whole lot to you, and you don't even realize it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know why you think the way you think, why you react a certain way. What is
Mm-hmm.
so irritable about what your husband or your wife said that you're going on and on about it?
Mm-hmm.
It's not what they said or what they did, it's in you.
Mm-hmm.
And counseling helps you explore. It reveals who you are to you in many ways if it's done well. And then you
Mm-hmm.
learn how to deal with situations that is inside of you. Once you receive that healing, that's where healing comes in. It's not that somebody is healing you, you are exposed to you.
Mm-hmm.
Ask you questions. So why does that statement bother you so much?
Mm-hmm.
You find out that that statement is not so much what she said, but it is triggering something that was said to you so many years ago by somebody that brings certain feelings. And so the moment you hear her say that, you associate it. You don't even wait for them to finish. You hear Jack and you're like, hey. And then you begin, you start, you become triggered based on what is inside of you, based on
Mm-hmm.
past experiences, and means you are not healed. You need help.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
you know, when it comes to the children and the parents to atmosphere, when you place your children in an atmosphere of conflict,
Mm-hmm.
okay, they get impacted in ways that they themselves now begin to fight. You find that children, they are fighting all the time at school, and you don't know what's going on. Find out that there's anger in the home, and they've picked
Mm-hmm.
on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important.
It is. Thank you. Answer that beautifully. Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and with that, I think people see a lot of things, and it is the norm for a lot of people. Depending on demographics and where you live, you can have situations, and it's just normal. The violence, the anger, it's just normalized. And so when you go somewhere else, it's really it's a culture shock. It's crazy how you see, well, this is a two-parent household. I didn't know they had two-parent households. I didn't know they had running water over here. Just things because you've been living in a less than favorable situation. So don't ever allow things that have been normalized in your life to be the future of your life, if that makes any sense. I think people repeat a lot of cycles that they see.
Mm.
And it's just interesting, especially with abuse. It's very, very interesting to see people um, young that see abuse and then turn around and grow up and repeat those cycles. Addiction, see it and repeat those cycles.
Queen,
Poverty.
let me shock you.
Mm-hmm.
There's this experiment, I believe it's on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the still face experiment, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it has to do with attachment. And in the still face experiment, a mother and a child are playing, okay? And at some point, the mother stops to respond to the child, okay? So
Mm-hmm.
they're playing. So the things that the mother will laugh, and I'm looking at you, we're playing. And then the mother gets still faced.
Mm-hmm.
The child is reaching out and playing, and you realize that they get stressed, and mom is not responding. And eventually, maybe under 2, 3 minutes, you realize that the child begins to get distressed. You
Mm-hmm.
can see a child who doesn't talk. You can see why aren't you responding? And then they
Mm-hmm.
begin to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Right there and then, when the mother comes back and begins to play, oh, mommy is back,
Mm-hmm.
and then they recover. But
Mm-hmm.
let's just say that mother goes still in situations where children are snatched out of their homes, taken to the foster system.
Mm-hmm.
They may be adopted by a very nice family, and you find that the child is acting up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because the family is bad, it's because the child has an attachment issue
Mm-hmm.
that has not been resolved. Why was I taken from my mom? Or why did my mom leave me?
Mm-hmm.
That unfinished business.
Mm-hmm.
It's there and it's hunting that child, even if they are adopted. So I find that a lot of children in the system are angry and
Mm-hmm.
frustrated. They are snatched, but they don't get the counseling services they need. You will be surprised that it even impacts addiction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do they call it? Attachment trauma? Some children snatched out of their homes for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reasons. Okay, you'll be surprised that when you go to the root of some addiction issues, that's where the problem is came from.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling of not being wanted, the feeling of being thrown away, for the
Mm-hmm.
feeling of rejection
Mm-hmm.
makes them believe I'm not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nobody. Nobody cares for me. So they begin to numb that feeling with whatever it is that will make them feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So parents, I'm saying this to say this. That be careful what you do around developing. You're very developing, the very little ones. Be very careful what you do with them. It affects them to the day they die unless they get intervention,
Mm-hmm.
proper intervention. Let's not take it for granted. That is why it's so valuable that a mother knows how to play with the children again when she comes home from work.
Mm-hmm.
After she's gone all day, after you've been with your child, you think 6 weeks, they don't know. They know.
Mm-hmm.
They know. They know mom is not here because they know mom.
Mm-hmm.
Babies, you have a child 3 weeks, someone comes, visits, and takes the baby, and they start crying. They know that's not mom.
Mm-hmm.
Your child knows you from right inside. They know your sound of your voice. They know the way you smell. They know the way you feel. They know. So if a stranger touches them, they know.
Mm-hmm.
And we take it for granted. And I've had to learn some things the very hard way. It takes grace. So
Mm-hmm.
when we have the privilege, the opportunity to raise our children and do what we need to do for our children, money can wait.
Yep.
Money can wait. It doesn't have to always be comfortable. We can
Mm-hmm.
make do. We can make do with what we have. But let's spend the time with these children because their future depends on it.
It does. And I know we're out of time, but I do want to say shout out to all the foster mothers, all the foster fathers, all the foster parents,
Yes. Yeah.
grandparents, um, those adoptive, parents, adoptive parents. Shout out to all you, the decent
Yeah.
ones. Yes, shout out
Yes.
to all of you.
Yes.
Even the ones that are not, quote unquote, in the foster system that are taking care of your loved ones.
Nephews
And
and nieces,
yes,
grandchildren,
yes.
you
So shout
know.
out to you all. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we gotta be in this together. So yeah, we are out of time. Queen, I'm gonna let you do what you do. Um,
Wow.
you did most of the talking. I love it. I love it.
I know, right?
You've
I
been
talked a
missed.
whole lot. I talked a
No, but you
whole
know
lot.
what? You were missed last Saturday, and you have so much insight, especially when it comes to marriage and family counseling and therapy. And again, all because you're in a relationship does not mean that you don't need help. You don't have to be in trouble to need help. You know, so build your relationships, grow your relationships with some therapy and some counseling. Doesn't have to be a dire situation. Just learn how to grow together. And Queen Edith has that for you. So just saying, Queen.
Well, since we talked about marriage, family, and all of that, I encourage people who are, I wouldn't say getting ready to be married, okay, but where you are in a relationship which is so significant that you know it will, or you want it to lead into marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there is. I have to check. There's this thing called prepare and enrich, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And even if you are married, there are people who are trained, prepare and enriched counselors or therapists or officers.
Mm-hmm.
They are there to help you discuss some things. There are tests you take, and based on the test, You will have some discussions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And this thing prepares you for the marriage. If you're already married, there's a prepare and reach for it for you as well, in case you are stuck in the relationship and you don't know where things are going or you are getting frustrated. All these things are there, and you can Google prepare and reach counselors around you.
Mm-hmm.
Just go take the test. For some of you, find out that there's too much work to be done, and that when you go into marriage, you will work too much and it may not be worth it. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen people who are saying it's not worth it. I love you, I like you, but I don't think, based on the differences I'm seeing, I don't think I'm ready to go through all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that I'm not saying that it's perfect, I'm saying it helps.
Mm-hmm.
It's a guiding thing. So even if there is more to do and there's work, you can work on those things as much as possible before you enter into the marriage. So you don't enter blind. People say
Mm-hmm.
love is blind. Oh, I mean, love is so blind. But marriage will wake you up.
I like that.
Marriage, marriage will open your eyes so wide.
Mm-hmm.
You will see things you wish you had seen prior, but you were blinded
Mm-hmm.
by what you call love.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not enter marriage blindly. Now, like, too many divorces are going on. Too
Mm-hmm.
many children are coming out of marriages messing up because
Mm-hmm.
we didn't go in prepared and we put them in an environment that they didn't need to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be responsible. Let's not be driven by sex and emotions only. Let's
Mm-hmm.
get into it with knowledge. Let's
Mm-hmm.
get into it with knowledge. And I think that you should explore, prepare, and reach officers or counselors around you. Prepare and enrich around you. And for the fun of it, just do it. It won't cost you too much, and you're worth it. If you can take $100 and go to 2 dinners, it's worth it. It's so worth it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry we've taken your time, but thank you for being with us. Thank you. Yes, yes. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for spending time with us. We will come together next month.
Yes,
Next.
and we're doing. I'm sorry, y'all, because I've been like a week off all month. I told you we're doing the men's mental well being. So next week we are going to start with the men's mental health awareness. So that's how we're going to launch June. So you want to be here for that. So I'm excited. I'm sorry, Quinn. Go ahead. I'm done.
Congratulations for making it into the month of June. I pray you will make it tomorrow. And it's the best month of the year. Yeah. It ends the first half of the year. I was born in June. So June 1 to June 30th, every day is my birthday, okay? Every
There
day
you
is my
go.
birthday. And I'm so privileged to be celebrating it with a man. Yeah. So, you guys have an amazing week. We love you. I appreciate you, women. Please, if you can afford it, get your feet done. Put your feet up and get your house cleaned up for you. Even once every 2 months won't hurt anything, I think.
Yeah.
And rest. Let the men in your life, let the children in your life, let the people who love you around you, who are capable of helping, let them help. It doesn't make you less of a woman.
Mhm.
Enjoy.
Peace, love, and blessings. Till next time.